At the beginning of the third act of this film, a child who could have been no older than 10 years old shouted at the screen, "Let's get this bastard." Yeah, I died. This has nothing to do with anything except here are my immediate thoughts on Kung Fu Panda 4. Kung Fu Panda 4 is the fourth Kung Fu Panda movie. It has been 8 years since Kung Fu Panda 3, and Po, played by Jack Black, has been enjoying his time as the Dragon Warrior, but he has been set on a new quest to find his successor, as Po must learn the ways of spiritual enlightenment. Reluctant to this change in his life, Po goes on a mission when called upon to defeat the crafty chameleon voiced by Viola Davis, whose mission is to steal the kung fu expertise of the great warriors of the spiritual realm. Can Po stand up to the chameleon before she gains the powers of all the great warriors? First off, let's talk about the animation, which I really did enjoy. The animation was clear and crisp and bright and colorful, and I really dug the action set pieces. There are times where the animators would add brushstrokes to an action scene to make it look like something straight out of Street Fighter or anime, and that was really cool. The camera would spin around with Po or his opponents while they're fighting in the air. That was really awesome. There is also a fight scene where Po is fighting in the fog, and that scene is just kind of done in black and white, and that scene is just absolutely gorgeous. And then when Po first enters this new city that he goes to find the chameleon, Juniper City, that whole sequence is animated brilliantly. So the animation for this movie and the animators in Dreamworks really did top-notch, top-shelf work. I enjoyed most of the voice acting. Jack Black as Po is just lovable. I mean, Jack Black just has a lovable voice. I mean, he voiced Bowser in Super Mario Bros., and we all still love him, and he was the main villain in that movie. Jack Black just provides the right amount of wacky to his voice, but at the same time, when the time comes where he needs to be serious, he does pull that off pretty well, and I do like the fact that even though Po is still a wacky and clumsy character as the Dragon Warrior, he still kicks ass. I really like Viola Davis as the chameleon. They tried to give her some depth, but really she's the main character from Secret Wars on Disney Plus and just wanted to take everyone's powers so she could take over the world. AWKWAFINA was good as Jen, the fox that will lead Po to his new adventure towards the chameleon, and she sounded like Awkwafina, which was fine. There's one thing that I do want to say. Zootopia was definitely right when it comes to stereotyping certain animals. If you don't believe me, all I have to say is watch Zootopia and you will know what I mean. A lot of the other voice actors were good. James Hong and Bryan Cranston as Po's dad were put on a side quest that kind of really felt like padding, but I did like them together. Ke Kwan as a leader of a den of thieves was fun to hear. It's always great to know that he's still getting work. It was great hearing Ian McShane as Tai Lung and seeing him back, even though I have to admit he does and says a couple things in this movie that I feel kind of go against who he is as a character in the Kung Fu Panda movies. And then we have Dustin Hoffman as Master Shifu, who is annoyed. And that's really his only emotion now, annoyance. Now, there are these bunny rabbits, and they're all over the trailer, and they are absolute murderous psychopaths, and I laughed every time they were on screen. So if you follow the Kung Fu Panda franchise, I am going to warn you now. If you are a fan of the Furious 5 from these movies, prepare to be disappointed. They are not in this movie at all. And honestly, that posed a real problem to the plot for me. So in this film, Po is supposed to find his successor to be the Dragon Warrior so he can move up to the next evolution of spiritual enlightenment. You would think that Po would choose his successor out of one of the Furious Five, right? That would make the most sense. Logic? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And while I appreciated the effort into this particular story, I just had to keep asking myself this nagging question. Was this movie really necessary? Is it good enough, and does it warrant you parting with your hard-earned cash to see this movie? I will say this. Kids will probably have a blast with this. Like I said, this is bright and colorful and loud, and there's all sorts of animals standing on their hind legs. The movie is fast-paced. It is 90 minutes, so honestly, it never does overstay its welcome. And I will say, mainly because of Jack Black's performance, the movie tries to have a semblance of heart to it. So I do appreciate the movie trying on that front. It's not fully earned, but I appreciate it. So some adults may be able to find something out of this movie. The comedy is so-so. Some of the jokes land, most of them don't. A lot of the comedy is really based out of the physical comedy and the slapstick, and that's through the animation. I've already praised that, and this story is super simple. Again, like I said, this villain is basically the same as the one from Secret Wars. Overall, Kung Fu Panda 4 didn't feel like it needed to exist. I liked Jack Black well enough, the animation was really good, and some of the new characters are fun, and I enjoyed seeing Po out of his element. But the plot felt a little derivative. A new challenger emerges for Po to defeat, while at the same time he must learn to evolve into the next higher realm. Rinse and repeat. The comedy didn't land a good chunk of the time, and I felt that it did a disservice to actual fans of the franchise by removing popular characters and even making one character sort of betray who he is at his core, which maybe Kung Fu Panda 5 will explain? Who knows? Kids will probably love it. Adults will most likely have to endure it. The very definition of a studio-mandated film. This movie was truly mid for me. I like the Kung Fu Panda movie, so I went into this hoping that this would be good, and honestly, I came walking out of this movie a little bit on the disappointed side, but what are you gonna do? Not all movies are going to be gems. And those are my immediate thoughts on Kung Fu Panda 4. What did you think of the film? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.